Hello and welcome to The 10 Show, Technology, Entertainment and News. I'm one of your hosts this evening, Nick Sandfort.
And I'm Eliza Jeffrey. Tonight we're looking at on-demand television against broadcast schedules.
More specifically, we're going to investigate the current debate of whether or not on-demand services such as Sky Go, 4OD, BBC iPlayer and the ITV player are killing off the desire for what we know as family time. Do we still sit around together to watch scheduled shows, or are we more inclined to choose what and when we watch certain programmes through these on-demand services?
We spoke to professionals from Sky and A&E networks about what they think of the increasing popularity of video on demand and what they think this means for the TV broadcast schedule.
Please send your opinions through tweets during the show at The 10 Show or email us via our website, technologyentertainmentandnews.co.uk.
But before we get to that, Nick, what's your opinion on on-demand television?
Well, I love it. I mean, I think for people in today's working world, it's not as easy to sit around and watch these scheduled shows at the times they're on. It's ultimately offering you the same service by showing the programme, but at the convenience of watching it when you want to. I often miss EastEnders because I'm travelling home at the time, but I always make sure I watch it later on that night or even the next day. And to be honest, it's just a few simple clicks on the iPlayer. What about you?
Well, see, I'm the opposite. I'm very savvy with social networking and like to talk about things as they happen, television mainly. I do like the idea of on-demand, but I think that with popular reality shows, you have to be watching it live. Half the entertainment for me comes from watching other people's reactions, mainly on Twitter, where everyone's quick to comment on stuff that's happened in the show. Recently, with this year's Big Brother, you couldn't be watching it live. You had to be watching it live because everyone was tweeting about it. It even started trending worldwide, which to me shows that live viewing isn't dead.
Yeah, that was quite funny. I watched it live too myself and probably tweeted quite a lot about it. So as I said, we spoke to a few professionals. First was Tom Davidson, the managing director at the History Channel. Sophie Cheverst went to see Tom at his office. Let's see what she found out.
So how do you personally watch TV? Do you watch a lot of on-demand or is it mainly live television you watch?
So good question. To be honest, it's almost 100% recorded watching. So yeah. I cannot think of the last time I watched a live recording. I think a lot of people in the industry, partly because of time pressures and the ones that are used to using the PVR and the recorded playback, it's a real benefit. So they really enjoy using that.
Yeah. So how do you see video on demand progressing in the next few years?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow. And what the challenge is, there's so much out there. So you go to YouTube and you think about how people consume YouTube, and it's the things that get really strong popularity, everybody goes to see it. The whole world is going to see. You get tens of millions, hundreds of millions of hits on certain videos. But there's so much out there that doesn't get seen. So the challenge is, in a platform like that, having a way to get your brand awareness across to people, and also the show that you want to get across. For our industry, because we work in pay television, we have a slightly more restricted environment. So we can't put all of our shows on YouTube for free, for example. No. Right? So Sky and Virgin and BT, they pay a lot of money to us to keep them inside of what's called a pay television environment. So how video on demand will evolve, I think there'll be a lot of influence from the platforms such as Sky and Virgin and these sorts of things in the pay environment. And then you'll see YouTube continue to kind of expand what they're trying to do in the free environment. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw, it was just in the press a couple of days ago that Sky have now officially gotten a YouTube channel that will be airing full episodes of some of their shows. Yeah, so they're trying to merge those two worlds of free television and pay television to attract more people to subscribe to their services, which I think is the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's great. So do you agree that if video on demand continues to grow in popularity, it will cause a decline in the need for broadcast schedules?
So I think there's something about the schedule that helps people understand how they watch television. There is that danger of having too much to watch, and then you don't really want to watch anything. And I think when video on demand originally came out, a lot of the platforms were just doing an alphabetical list of shows. Yeah. So we've got 1,000 films or 2,000 films, and here's our list. and people didn't even know where to start. You know, it was just if you looked at the ratings, I think 80% of all views were done between the letters of A and G or something like this, and nobody got down below that because you just get tired, you know. And that's how people were looking at it. Okay, what are the films in the A section? Okay, B, C, and then it just catch something before you get to Z. So that's changed around a lot, and I think the nature of how people will watch things, it will depend on how much awareness they have of their brands, but also how the platforms promote the shows themselves and the brands themselves. And limiting the choice, I think, that is important for the viewer. There'll always be a need for scheduling. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but the point of having a scheduler tell you kind of what he thinks you need to watch or should watch in an order that is digestible for you, I think that will continue to be important.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Tom.
You're welcome.
Back to you in the studio.
Thank you for that, Sophie. So there we had Tom, who admitted to almost 100% of his viewing being recorded television. Through all of his market research though, he does however still believe that the community watching live television is still very much alive. He even suggests that it may well have grown with the introduction of social media, which, Eliza, didn't you say something similar?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly what I said about the Big Brother example. Everyone wants to talk about what they're watching and jokes begin to circulate. I know when not to go on social networking sites as well. My God, I can't go onto Twitter if a big football match is on. My timeline looks like a running commentary of matches, and I couldn't care less.
Okay, confession time. Sorry, I think I'm definitely one of those guys. But come on, if the ref's rubbish, the world needs to know. But jokes aside, I do agree with you and Tom to that extent. Watching shows with your family, whether it's live or not, I think you're always going to want to talk about it. But I always see that barrier as quite blurred. I mean, often I'd actually ask my sister if she doesn't mind waiting for me to get home so that we could watch EastEnders together.
So, really, you're making her not be able to read Twitter or anything, because otherwise it would spoil it for her.
She doesn't seem to mind, it's not my fault.
Well, like Nick, Shannen Bradley caught up with Kat Rogers, again at Sky Studios. The video on demand manager also seemed to agree with the idea of communal live viewing. Let's hear what she had to say about it.
Video on demand is so important now and is becoming increasingly more popular within the industry. Why do you think it has become such a big part of the industry now?
I think one of the main drivers behind the uptake of video on demand is to do with the evolution of the technology. So when I first started at the company, the video on demand side of the business was very much focused on set-top box. At that point, there was quite a few sort of mobile TV services, but it was when
it is now.
Yeah, it was when mobile phones had tiny little screens. So
yeah,
so it never
that.
really sort of took off that well, and it was more the mobile telephone companies that were running those kind of services like Orange. But now with Apple and all the tablets and iPads and stuff like that, obviously it's just so much easier to watch content when you're on the move, even if you're at home or out and about.
People do it on the way into work, when they're on the train and stuff like that. It makes it so much easier.
So I think that's part of the reason it's become more popular, is just because the technology's there to enable it, and it's quite cost effective as well. I mean, looking back before. It was expensive to watch TV on your mobile because you didn't have Wi-Fi or even the 3G, 4G, so it was expensive.
Some people say that there's an experience from watching something live that you can't get from video on demand. Why do you think people still choose video on demand though, instead of watching something live?
I think if you think about sport, people will always watch that live. There's probably not so much uptake for sport on demand, for watching it, catching up later. I think fundamentally programs like dramas or factual, fact-ent, people want convenience over experience. So as long as you don't watch it too far after, so that you hear from your friends or your colleagues what's happened, it's more convenient.
Just when you want to watch
exactly.
it.
So I think, the experience, as long as you don't hear the spoiler or the result, then it's fine. So it's all about convenience, really.
Do you think that if the need and want for video on demand continues to increase, it will eventually have a big impact on the TV schedules, or do you think this is already happening?
A lot of people in the industry, particularly who work in the on-demand sector, believe that on-demand will lead to the demise of the TV schedule. However, there's been quite a lot of research recently that shows that viewers are lazy, people want convenience, so actually the linear EPG is still the first port of call for most viewers. So when you turn your TV on, and I'm guilty of this as well, you turn your TV on, the linear channel comes up, that's the first thing I look at. If there's nothing on there, I go to my planner, my PVR planner, and then if there's nothing on there that takes my fancy, I might then look at the catch-up services. So I'm thinking about Sky predominantly, that's what I use at home. The only time that I go directly to VOD is when I know I've missed something and I want to watch it, or because I subscribe to Netflix at home, so there's certain series that I obviously only can see there. If I think I want to watch that above anything else that I might have access to via Sky, I'll go directly to VOD. So I think that the uptake of on-demand and the utilisation of catch-up will continue to grow, but ultimately people's first port of call will always be linear EPG, and I think that will be the case for quite a long time.
How do you see video on demand progressing in the next 5 years, for example, with the use of social media and mobile accessibility now?
That's tough. I don't think video on demand has reached its peak, because I think technology will continue to evolve and grow, and the ability to watch programming outside of the home or away from the television set will continue. I think the generation now, because they're so tech savvy and use on demand and use catch up and use Netflix and things like that, I think the usage will grow. That's a really tough question. Yeah, so I don't think it's peaked. I think the social media and utilising VOD over mobile technology, that will continue to be a parallel, so you'll see that increase. But I think that is the progression, really. It's just more people will watch programming away from their television and away from their families as well, so it will possibly become more of a like a singular thing
like
to
an
do,
individual thing, when you're on your own. No more like family viewing in front of the TV.
And I think quite a lot of television companies are probably and stations are probably going to have to think maybe about how they get an appointment to view for the family. So the programming like X Factor or I don't know, Take Me Out, something like Saturday evening TV has got to be a real hook to get families back together.
Thank you so much for your time. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Shannen. Nick, what did you make of that then?
Well, it's again quite similar to what we were saying before about people feeling the need for their own live commentary reel, isn't it? Kat was there saying how people will still sit together as a family on a Saturday night to perhaps watch the X Factor or something and talk about it, which, I think that's very true.
Okay, so I guess at the moment it doesn't seem like the availability of video on demand has wiped out the need to watch scheduled shows. But with the increase in technology and social media, do you think people will always watch these shows during their scheduled times?
I don't know, that's the question I kind of wanted to throw back at you, really, because didn't you say you were quite busy on Twitter during Big Brother?
Well, yeah, but so were you with the football.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not too sure. I think that one's quite hard to predict, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it seems to kind of depend on the type of show, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, with football and just sports in general, sports seems to be the best example of something that people rarely want to miss out on, and I don't think that's due to social networking, really. Because, to be honest, you can ignore Facebook and Twitter all you like, but if you don't watch the Arsenal and Man U matches this weekend live, you're going to read about it on the way to work Monday morning.
Well, with that in mind, let's go back to Shannen, who managed to get a few people together in a panel to discuss where they think video on demand will end up in the next few years.
Hello, and welcome to the 10 Show panel discussion. I'm Shannen Bradley, and tonight I'm joined by a few experts to help us uncover more about the on-demand topic. So before we start, let me introduce who I have with me. Hannah Burtonshaw, who works at the History Channel as a voicing producer, Neil Kingston, a live sports presenter, and Dito Lemus, an international correspondent for NTN24 News. So as you all know, we are talking about on-demand and how the growth of on-demand is impacting other areas of the industry, such as the broadcast schedule and general TV viewing. The question is, will the growth of on-demand spell the end for the broadcast schedule? Obviously, on-demand is such a big part of the industry now and people's lives, and people like the convenience of being able to watch when they want. Do you think this will have an effect on how channels broadcast and schedule their programmes? What do you guys think?
Well, it's already having a massive effect. As we've seen, we all use like on-demand content, I'm sure. But in short, I think outside of that, you're always going to have that core viewership, like at peak times. Most people in our country go to work at 9, come home at 5, watch the news or something before, and then a soap after. So I think both can coexist together.
Yeah, people don't like change, so you're not going to see the schedule completely change. You're not going to see EastEnders on any other time but 7:30, 8 o'clock. People might record some of the documentaries like One Born Every Minute while they're watching football, you know, live on TV.
So they can watch it later.
Exactly. So you're going to find that consolidated ratings are always going to be higher than your overnight ratings.
What I think is that people are going to start using on-demand more to record, as you guys pretty sure I agree, that we have a lot of stuff going on during the day and we need to do something else, and I can record the show that I want to see or the game while my children are watching other things. But at the same time, certain aspects of the industry live, they're going to keep happening. For example, news, we have seen it. We need to see what's going on in Syria, what's going on in Venezuela, or what's going on in Kiev right now.
Okay. Do you think there is much that broadcasters can do to make people watch more live TV or when the show is on rather than go to on-demand?
Yeah, I think they can sign more big-name events, more big sporting occasions, if you like. The English Premiership's like the biggest example of this. They actually moved the content abroad, changed the kick-off times ever so slightly, so they can do it live, so they can actually keep the live broadcast going all around the world. American football's doing it here in the UK, and I'm sure that'll spread as well.
Different channels are going to suffer more than others. So the BBC aren't going to suffer as much as ITV Channel 4 because they don't have adverts. So, you know, maybe, I don't know, in America, for example, you have shorter adverts, but you have more. So you might have, in a half-an-hour programme, you have 4 adverts, whereas we only will have 1. And I know where I work, we're starting to experiment with that to try and keep the live viewers.
Yeah, people don't want to keep watching adverts.
So if we know there's only going to be a minute advert, we'll be like, oh, we'll stick around, we'll wait. Whereas a 4 or 5 minute break, can't be bothered, I turn over, and that's where they're losing their ratings.
You've already said about sport, but also live events, reality TV and soaps are still mainly watched within the schedule. Do you think that this will ever change, or is there nothing they can really...
There's a reason for that though, and it's social media, isn't it? So
you don't want to miss out.
Towie, for example, The Enemy is Essex, Made in Chelsea. It's not just social media, it's coming in the next day and your friends have watched it, you know, where I work anyway. That's
you feel like you're missing out otherwise.
Stuff that we watch, you know, and football, you don't want to not watch that live, like you're going to find out the scores. So they are the programmes, news, live sporting events and reality TV, like Big Brother, etc., are going to continuously be watched live in the schedule.
You know, actually, it's not just TV, like on-demand, the argument between on-demand and live TV. Those things, they all drive like our society, as you mentioned, like, you know, the print press, what goes on the radio, what we all talk about every day. And so we need live TV, like we really need it. Otherwise, like, society will just come to a stop. Yeah. You'll have, like, me watching Breaking Bad on a Monday, and maybe you go and watch it on a Friday night, and what do we talk about during the week? If there's nothing live.
And the Daily Mail website would have absolutely nothing to report on.
That's always got Towie on there.
Yeah, so. Exactly. It's always got the night before. Yeah. So at the moment, the Kardashians is quite big on E. And if you don't watch it, you know, I'm recording it actually, shame.
Nasty programme.
But it's the top 4 the day after the premiere on the Daily Mail website is articles about that. If you haven't watched it, you don't know what on earth the article's about.
Going back to your original question you're looking to answer, has on-demand killed like the live TV broadcast schedule? Might have taken a little slice of the pie, but, you know.
It's taken a big big chunk of
All right,
the ratings.
you've got me there, but you know what I'm trying to say.
It's massively taken a big chunk of the overnight ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But it hasn't,
live ratings.
Yeah, but it hasn't completely ruled out
no,
the
people,
broadcast schedule yet.
No, it never will.
No. Thank you for your time today, guys. As you can see, it is evident that on-demand is playing a massive part in the industry at the moment, but it will never kill off the broadcast schedule as people rely on it and we will always need it. I'm Shannen Bradley, thank you.
So we've seen that between these industry professionals, opinions are varied, although the notion of live scheduled viewing isn't dead yet.
However, it would be nice to know what the average person feels about this topic. Do you guys at home see the broadcast schedule dying out in the next few years, or can we all come to an agreement that we will still get together on the weekend to perhaps watch the X Factor, despite it being available to watch whenever you want on the ITV player? Will the boys still get together on the weekend to go to a local pub to watch big football and rugby matches live, rather than risk hearing about it or reading about the results later on?
We went to find answers on what you guys at home think. Let's see what our findings were.
With an increasing amount of people maintaining a busy lifestyle, it is no doubt that video on demand has become more popular over the years. The birth of new technologies also means that people can use video on demand on the go when they are out of the home on devices such as smartphones and laptops. We spoke to a variety of people with different lifestyles for an insight into how they watch television.
Yeah, I watch some things on demand. Well, it depends kind of what day it is and what time, because I like to watch Holloway, for example, but that's on at 6:30 during weekdays, and normally I'm at uni at 6:30 or I'm going out for a meal or something, so it's a really inconvenient time. So I watch that on 4AD quite a lot, because then I can watch it when suits me, when it's convenient for me, and I can catch up when I please. The same with EastEnders as well, because that's an inconvenient time really. But things like live shows, like Big Brother, X Factor and The Voice, which is on at the moment, I like to watch that live, because otherwise, if I'm out and about, I'll check my Twitter and I'll find out what happens on Twitter, and it kind of ruins it. Plus the suspense and stuff is a lot better when it's live, so it kind of ruins it if you watch it on demand. But it just depends what I'm doing that week, you know. If I'm not busy, then I like to watch stuff live. But if I'm busy, I just catch up on demand because it makes it easier.
I work in a bar, so basically I'm working on sociable hours quite often in times when primetime TV's on, whether it's series such as Breaking Bad. It doesn't really matter. I'm able to catch up using on-demand channels, software such as Netflix. So it's even though I do work on sociable hours, I'm not actually available to see programmes when they're on for the first time. I can usually catch up watching programmes.
According to Nelson Global Consumer and Media Insights, the use of video on demand has increased by 62% in the past 5 years, and viewers are spending 8 hours per month with video on demand. The typical viewers are people who have children and are earning a higher income, as they are likely to have access to a variety of technologies. Although movies are the most popular genre viewed on catch-up services, 65% of users have watched a television programme within the last month. Due to less serialised nature, dramas are the most popular type of programme to catch up with via video on demand. It is estimated that by 2015, the gross advertising revenue on video on demand will top £500 million. The popularity of video on demand is constantly growing, however there is still such a high demand for broadcast scheduling.
I prefer to watch television programmes when they're actually being broadcast, simply because if I record them, then it starts to pile up, and I find it's months before I actually look at the stuff. And sometimes I go through my list on my hard drive on the DVD player and just scrap it and get rid of it. So I like the immediacy of watching television as it's being broadcast. But it's a good support. Like tonight, there's a programme on I want to see. It starts at 9, finishes at 10:30. The two of us are out. We won't be home till 10:30, so it's recording onto the hard drive.
I work as a trading analyst for one of the world's leading sports betting companies. We use live broadcast and live pictures all the time in our regular day-to-day job. You're never going to see video on demand kill these services. In fact, the industry is going completely the opposite direction. You're getting companies fighting to get the most up-to-date and live pictures possible. There was actually a case recently in Australia where a guy was arrested at one of the tennis matches because he was caught filming a match, and they thought he had some links to match fixers or something stupid like that. It just goes to show the way the industry's heading, and you're never going to see companies stop broadcasting live.
Whilst some people agree that video on demand is overtaking the schedules, many others disagree and prefer live viewing, especially for reality shows and sporting events. This is not the end for broadcast scheduling.
So as you can see, based on some of the figures shown, it's quite clear that all of our thoughts are quite proven. Television broadcasting and the live viewing audience is still very much alive.
Okay, so we've had a few tweets and emails coming in already about On Demand. Lauren from Colchester says she loves On Demand and would never watch live viewing if she had the choice. Abby from London said she agrees with me that boys' football tweets are so annoying. What do you think of that, Nick?
Sorry girls, but Mickey from Essex says that that's what it's all about. He loves watching sports live and thinks it's important. He actually says, on-demand sports just isn't the same. We need live viewing for matches and games.
Okay, enough of the heated discussion. Back to the original question. Have advanced technologies caused the broadcast schedule to die out?
Well, Adam from Leeds agrees with Hannah that it's taken a big slice of the pie, but it's yet to kill it off. He says he enjoys watching talent shows live and getting involved by voting for his favourites.
Well, Jennifer from Twickenham says the same actually. She loved X Factor last year and watched it live just so she could vote for Sam Callahan 50 times. Wow, her parents must love her for that phone bill.
Yeah, that does really show the impact of live viewing.
I've just been told that we have a caller on the line. Hello Ashley, what's your opinion on demand against the broadcast schedule?
Hi guys, I'm really enjoying the 10 show. I personally watch everything on demand, as I can't stand watching things with adverts in. If more programmes were like the 10 show, I'd be more inclined to watch them live, if you know what I mean. Because of this, I do exactly what Kat Rogers was saying. I just get home, switch on the telly and throw myself on the sofa and go straight to the planner. After a long day at work, I just want to relax and not be flicking through the channels. If scheduled viewing could get rid of the long adverts and maybe make them slightly shorter, I definitely would watch things more live.
Thanks for that, Ashley.
Please carry on sending us your thoughts, tweet us at The 10 Show or message us via our website, technologyentertainmentandnews.co.uk. Even send in your emails.
Join us again next week where we'll be looking more at technology and the growing power of YouTube. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.